discovered, it must be told. Easily discovered, it must be told.
If you have just plopped onto this video, I am Gypsy. I have 6 previous videos that are part of this storyline. So this is basically my backstory series, and we are in installment number 7 of that series. So if you missed those videos, go back, find them in my playlist, Gypsy's Backstory, and they should all be there for you in order. So we last left off talking about Noor, who was my mother's boyfriend. I guess I was going into the 6th grade. It was like the summer before 6th grade for me. So this is around 96, 97-ish, somewhere around there. We're in Brooklyn. We are living on 18th Avenue. For those of you guys who need, like, I need to know where. I was attending a school called IS 62, also known as Ditmas Middle School, and Ditmas was on Cortelyou Road. So back when I was living there, that was like kind of the hood, but now I hear it's nice. Shout out to my cousin Sharia, who happened to move there as an adult, and she was like bragging to me like, yeah, I live on the street where your school was. And I'm like, you downgraded, bro. Like, you okay? Did they give you the right address? And she's like, no, it's nice. And I'm like, what? How? But back then it was not nice. It was very hood. Yeah, and we had an apartment that was like a studio apartment over on, I think it was on 18th Avenue. I was telling you guys that I can't tell this part of my story completely chronologically in order because some of the events that occurred, I don't remember the time frame of when it happened. I just remember that it happened. The details of what actually occurred is what stick with me now, not, you know, whether it happened first, second, or third, and the many things that were going on at this time. So at some juncture, we ended up moving out of that particular apartment, the studio apartment, about 2 blocks down the street from there, but 2 blocks further away from my school. So I had to walk further to school. And the place we moved to was like a duplex or a triplex, kind of a house, but it was the kind of house where like there's 50 other houses on the street that are like all stuck next to each other. Like everything's right next door to each other. It's not the kind of house that people in the burbs are thinking of. And at this point, what's going on is Noor is sexually abusing me and my sister. My sister's like a year and a half younger than me. So imagine the trauma of a child at this age having to deal with this. And then what was worse was that I was talking about it. I was trying to bring attention to it. I was trying to like convince my mother to leave him, or at least let me and my sister go away someplace. If you just have to date this guy, fine, but we got to go. So I'm in that state of mind. And meanwhile, my sister's not saying anything. She's not backing me up. She's not agreeing. She's not disagreeing. She's just not saying anything. And this, I feel like, was worse for her because she didn't even have that outlet of resisting outwardly to at least feel somehow sane, like something about this that can keep me grounded, the realization that I'm being wronged and that person knows that I know that he's trying to wrong me. We didn't have that with my sister. She was not talking about any of this stuff. So I feel like for her, it was probably a worse situation almost because you can't even talk about it with the person who they're doing it to. Like, we did talk about how much we hated him. So don't think that my sister was just walking around acting like she was like in La La Land, just like, oh yeah, life is perfect and he's a good man. Sister, why are you talking about him? No. When we weren't around him, me and her used to go in, like talking about all the fucked up shit he was doing and saying. And okay, let me give you some examples of things that he would do. And this is the mind of like a control freak, okay? He was obsessed with making food. He would insist that only he could cook breakfast and he would insist that he was going to make whatever food he was going to make and we all had to eat it. He only made what he claimed were Moroccan dishes. It was like some kind of ground beef that would be like sauteed with vegetables, and he would crack eggs on top of it just as it was like finishing up, and then he would put so much cilantro in everything, right? And at the time, I remember him saying that it was parsley, but I don't think it was parsley. I'm pretty sure it was cilantro, or maybe it was a mixture. Cilantro has a very distinct smell and taste, and that taste and smell was what it was that he was cooking with, but he was calling it parsley. So I thought it was parsley for a long time, but parsley has a completely different flavor and smell. So he would put this stuff in every single dish he would cook. And it got to the point where the flavor of the cilantro was overpowering almost everything in the dish. Me and my sister, we didn't like this dish. We didn't want to eat it. We grew up on Korean food, but there is Korean food that's like weird and gross. Like, I'm not gonna say what it is because I don't want to offend people who might eat this stuff, but like my mom, she be eating some stuff. I'd be like, mother, you don't live in a third world country, you don't have to eat that. But she chooses to eat it because she grew up on it. Don't think because I'm saying we grew up on Korean food, I'm over here like, yeah, that's right, girl. All that Korean, all that mucusy seafood. Oh, yeah. Like, that's not what. No, I know there's some gross stuff that Koreans eat, and I'm not talking about that stuff. We grew up on the food we liked. Like, if my mother made something that we felt like that about, like, ew, you're gonna eat that, mom, she would never force us to eat it. I have never tasted chicken feet in my life. Like, my mother loves her some chicken feet and neck bones, like chicken neck bones. She loves that stuff. I don't even know what it feels like because I was never forced to eat it. If I didn't want it, she didn't make us eat it. As long as we were eating the majority of like the foods that she cooked, as long as we weren't wasting food, just saying we were hungry when we really weren't because other people are eating and I just want to eat. They never made a big fuss in my household growing up about like us eating certain things. And in Korean food culture, we have lots of banchan when we eat. And banchan is basically side dishes. So your rice is like your main thing, like your bread and or your pasta, like it's the base of your meal, and then all the banchan on your table, everybody just picks whatever they like to eat. So because we have a variety of those side dishes to choose from to eat with almost every meal, there never is a situation where really like people are at the table and then just can't eat the food because there's nothing else to eat. I don't know, it's just how we've always done food. Being used to that and also being used to having choices in what I could eat, it was like insulting that this guy would force us to eat this dish, and it's always like the same dish. Like, my sister, if she's watching this, I know she can envision without me even like describing what it was. If me and her were to write down simultaneously what we thought that food was, our descriptions would be really remarkably similar after all these years. So, because that's how much we ate it. Oh gosh. So he would just put all sorts of spices and stuff in there, but the cilantro was like really, really, really overpowering for us. We weren't used to eating that herb and we didn't like it. And then we would tell my mom, like, we don't want to eat this. She'd force us to eat it because he insisted that we ate it. So for years as an adult, I could not eat or smell cilantro without gagging. It brought back all these horrible memories. I always associated cilantro with him specifically. Like, I couldn't do it, but I did overcome my cilantro fear. I felt so like empowered by the fact that it didn't scare me anymore. In fact, I actually love cilantro. It's like one of my favorite things to eat, and I look for recipes that I can infuse it into just because I love it so much. Those feelings, those negative feelings I had about this herb was based on my trauma, and I was missing out on something so basic as like a food that's actually good for you because of trauma. All right, so when we get to Foster Avenue, which is a few blocks down from where we lived, my next door neighbor was one of my best friends at school. She was like one of the girls in my clique. There were 5 of us. I was like so happy that we were right next door to her because we could come out onto our porches and see each other from our yards and talk. That was the last best thing about that place. Everything else about that place was oh my god. I don't know how the hell we ended up at this place, okay? A house where there's neighbors that live on the first floor and the second floor. Our apartment is in the basement. This dark, scary, shadowy door that we have to go down a flight of stairs from outside to get to. Ooh, nah, I'm good. I don't remember having furniture in this place. I don't even remember how many bedrooms were in this place because we were holed up in only one of them. I think it might have been a 2-bedroom, possibly. I don't remember the living room. I don't remember the bathroom. I only remember the kitchen because you had to walk through the kitchen to get to other parts of the house. The actual bedroom that we were using, where there were no furniture, only a mattress on the middle of the floor. I don't know where we were keeping our things, like our clothes for school. I don't even know how long we were at this place, you guys. All I know is there was freaking cockroaches everywhere. Cockroaches everywhere. Not one or two, not just when you like turn the lights on at night, not just around the food. Everywhere. The place was infested. Yo, when we lived in that place, because Nora lived there too, and he had the back bedroom that was near the bathroom. Our fights and like bumping heads had gotten so bad. He and I didn't directly speak to one another at all. We just both of us gave each other the silent treatment. We just didn't speak. My sister was being cordial to him, but she also was very reserved, and she would try really hard not to be physically around him alone. My mom was acting like she was on our side in the sense of she loved us, and she agrees that he's a weirdo, but she wasn't necessarily agreeing that he was molesting us. She was putting on this act as if for now we have to endure him, but we're gonna get away. So she was kind of acting like to us like she was pretending to be the go-between, pretending to be on his side to his face, but really she's on our side. What was his job? I don't even know what they were doing for money at that time. I'm gonna ask my mom. I'm gonna ask her. I don't know where the income was coming from, but we gained 2 bedrooms, but like lost everything else in the move. We even lived like civilized people in that place. I don't remember my mother cooking a meal in that place because we refused to eat any food that came out of that place. The roaches were inside the knobs of the stove. Like, you can't even turn the knob without roaches crawling out from under it. You guys ever see episodes of like Hoarders where people are just living in filth and then they're cooking, like frying eggs on the stove with roaches crawling in and out of the eggs. And they acted like they don't even see it. Like, they're so used to that shit that they completely, it's just like, whatever, yeah, there's roaches everywhere. Anyways, past the frickin' mustard. Like, no, I refuse. I was like, bitch, please. Like, when we were at school, I think that's when we were eating most of our food at school. Dude, like, what is this? Is this what poverty looks like in the United States? I don't know. I don't know what was going on, you guys. I just knew we were there with the roaches, and it was so freaking scary and disgusting. And this is not even the only time in our time in New York that we were in places that had this level of infestation. This was just the first time that me and my sister encountered it. When we went to bed at night, we would lay in the mattress, all 3 of us, okay? My mom was sleeping in our room with us. So I guess they were having like probably some kind of problems or tension, but I don't know why we were all there together. And I just remember it laying there like frozen in my little space in the night, because I'm a very nocturnal person. Oh, I could see the shadows of the roaches crawling all around the room, like shadows of like insects crawling all over your ceiling, all over the walls are moving. That's what it looked like. Oh my goodness, I could not, you guys. I couldn't go to sleep. I was hiding under the blanket. Any little like a hair would touch me and I would just oh, and then I'm thinking about the mattress being on the floor, and I'm like, if they're on the walls, then of course they're on the floor too. So are they crawling around us? Damn, this one story has got me so emotionally like just out of whack right now. And my son is 14. I couldn't imagine putting him in a situation like that. No. Do you know how much anxiety you live with when you're constantly looking all over your shoulders, physically looking over your shoulders, that like creatures are going to crawl into your clothes, into your food. You can't go to the bathroom because you don't know if they're crawling around the toilet. It's such a sense of complete manic. Like this is why me and my sister, I felt like we were so good in school, because we have so many problems at home. It was like a nightmare even vocalizing to anyone that this stuff is going on, because you know while it's happening, how can this be happening? This isn't real. How would anyone react if they heard that this stuff was going on? Like, how can anyone even help you? How can anyone help you? What are they going to do? Are they going to invite you to come live at their house? Are they going to donate money to your mother so she doesn't have to keep you in a place like this? What are they going to do? I feel like this level of survival was what my mother could accomplish with his help. So how much worse would things have been if she didn't have this person financially supporting her in some way so she could take care of her kids, being in the, in the social situation my mother was in. not having the language to help her steer through her adulthood here. A big ass roach, like the size of my palm, chased me and my sister out of the apartment one time. And we were just standing outside, like, staring at it and it staring at us, blocking the entrance back down into the apartment. We were just outside screaming, like, and then my mom and him came down the street, like, what the fuck, what the hell is going on? Like, why are you guys out here? I was like, look at that shit, look at that shit. I'm not fucking doing it. I ain't going, and I can't do it. It chased us down the hall outside the house. She was like, with her high heel. Oh, I'm not making up this story. This is the truth. I'm traumatized by shit like this. The sexual abuse part of it has kind of diminished because I'm putting up such an uncomfortable stink with him that all his animosity towards me resisting has channeled itself into mental and emotional abuse. So for me, the sexual abuse part of it, I think, was ending. I don't know what was going on with my sister once again, because he was not treating me and my sister the same way. And we weren't reacting to him the same way either. He was like hell-bent on mentally just breaking me. The way he would do this was he would absolutely try to turn people against me. He would go to the schools and go talk to my friends, because he'd been spying on me when I would go to school. He'd like follow me from blocks behind, and he would talk to them as if me and him are so close. And then he would try to turn them against me by saying, well, did you know that Gypsy is doing this and Gypsy is doing that, and she's got boyfriends, and he would like try to convince everyone that I was a slut, which is hilarious. Because people who knew me knew that I wasn't even like, that's not even my way of carrying myself. Especially at that age, I was so innocent. So the people that knew me knew that about me. So he would try to do this and they would be like weirded out, like, what the fuck are you talking about? But this shit actually worked when we moved away from that neighborhood where everybody knew us well. There were times where he was able to actually use this tactic to manipulate kids that lived in our area, to turn them against us so that he could use them to abuse us and bully us. It would be like he would take their bullying to use to manipulate my mother further, to say, look at the problem she's causing with these kids. See? If it weren't for her being out here being a busybody and a fast in the ass little hoe, then you wouldn't have these kids step into her like this. So that's my proof that all these years I've been trying to tell you that your daughter is a slutty whore that's in love with me, and she's trying to put us against each other. Now it sounds like to my mom, like, maybe he's right. I think the abuse, he had to do it very indirectly with me. And this is the kind of thing that makes it difficult sometimes for people who go through this, to pinpoint it and to say, like, that's what's happening, this is abuse. Like, it's hard for them to say that because some people are very subtle. And the reason why I think he had to be indirect with me was because I challenged him way too much. And anytime he would twist things or try to like catch me out or make me admit to something or like say something that would seem like he could manipulate it to be incriminating against me, I would counter it. I would argue it. I would throw my logic in his face to disprove it. I had the advantage of my language. My mother and my sister and I, we spoke Korean. If he said something that sounded completely blasphemous, I could just switch to Korean and say, okay, I know he's saying this, but how does he explain this? Or if what he's saying was true, then why would this be true? Him trying to twist wouldn't always work. So because of that, he kind of was forced to find creative ways to torment me without doing it directly himself. It worked in the sense of he was able to accomplish getting other people to indirectly torment us, but it didn't work for me in the sense of actually breaking my spirit and my mentality. I never felt that way. I always felt like, you are violating us. Like, we didn't do anything to you. You are manipulating us. You are taking my gullible mom and taking advantage of her. You're ruining us. Like, it's you. It's not me. It's not us. We didn't do anything. We're trying our best. We're these unfortunate children that are just stuck in a situation we can't do anything about. I knew that then. And that was what would empower me to like speak up and say stuff and resist 100%. And then we made another move, but this time my mom found a place on her own that she wanted to move me and my sister to with her. So we're like, oh, we're leaving him. Yeah, I'm good with that. So we leave the roach infested place, and the new place that we moved to is on Cortelyou Road. Yeah, it was 1 block away from my school, so you could actually see the place from our school, the front doors, and you could see the school from our place. But let me tell you what this place was zoned for. It was supposed to be a storefront. It literally looked like a Minecraft building, like a box. Like it was just like a pixel. Like that's how it was shaped, just a rectangle. So it was kind of enclosed, but the fence was just wire fence that came up to like maybe like, I don't know, maybe chest level. So it wasn't the kind of fence where like you were like privately secluded in there. No, everybody can see the front door. Everybody can see the plot of concrete out in front of the door, inside the fence. This is the place that my mother was claiming that she rented for us to move into. Her cover story was that she was actually opening a store there. Like the feeling was that it could be a thrift store because there's only one of each item, but they have tags on them like she got it from a wholesaler. She would sell like random dresses and like, oh my god, it looked like a garage sale but in front of a store. Like that's how it looked. And she had like no merchandise. Like she had like 20 things tops inside her inventory. And I feel like her source was like some weird crazy lady that lived down the street from us who was she was like a garbage digger. Like she would just go around at night dumpster diving on the streets of New York City and then bring home everything she had, and her whole entire like apartment, she turned it into like a secondhand store where people who knew that she had stuff could come there and like browse through her weird collection of crap and buy it off of her. Nothing had price tags. It was the weirdest, most bizarre thing ever. It's New York City. Like, you run into these types of characters, right? Oh, Lord, I remember this lady's name to this day. Her name was Maritza. My mom was, like, buying stuff off of her and then trying to sell them over in her weird little store to act like she was really, like, running a business from there, but she wasn't. It was just her cover so that she could stay there. And the place had basically the inside of the store part, which nobody was even allowed to come inside of because our beds were there. Our school desk was there. My mom had a table in there that we sat at to like eat food. Our personal belongings were in there. So she couldn't even allow people to come inside of her store. How ridiculous is this? Oh, I'm so glad I can laugh about this stuff now because it sounds stupid, but it really happened. While we were living in this place, my sister and I would sneak out in the morning and like try to go to school early enough that our friends wouldn't notice what direction we were walking from. That was like a stress for us. While we were living there, Noor was still in communication with my mom, even though they were supposedly broken up. He was always on the low trying to like talk her into coming out with him or talking to him or being around him. He was always trying to talk her into his presence. And the only way he could really do that was to give her money. So I think that supplementing her finances was what was keeping her kind of still answering his phone calls, sort of. When we were at school, he would probably sneak over and talk to her more then. But there was like a rule in the house. Me and my sister had like put our foot down and told our mom, if he comes here, no, like if you're going to talk to him, you're going to see him, you got to leave here. We have to have a safe place. It won't be safe if you let him come in here. Okay, so she tried to follow that rule of not having him around us. For a little while, it was working. And then there was a time when he came to our school, rolled up in some car, and he tried to tell me and my sister, but through my sister, not me because he didn't directly talk to me, that he came to pick us up to take us to a baseball game and that my mother had given him permission to take us. He was basically beckoning to my sister to jump in the car. And she's starting to go up to the car, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm telling my sister in Korean, don't go in the car because we don't even know that what he's saying is true. Does that sound like something your mother would say? So she's like, well, why would he lie about something like that? Yeah, because she's so innocent, she doesn't even think maybe this guy would actually try something worse or more dangerous than things he's already done. He's driving on the street next to us, following us. As we're going and getting closer to the house, he just drove away. And then I went in the house and asked my mom, I was like, did you tell this guy to come pick us up from school to go to a baseball game? And she was like, what are you I didn't even talk to him today. We were like, okay. Dude, that dude was trying to kidnap us. Who knows what the hell he had in store if he had actually accomplished getting us in that car. But thank God there were so many kids outside because it was like right after school. If there weren't so many kids outside, he might have physically tried to drag one of us into the car. My mom convinced us to, I guess, tolerate him coming over one time, and I wasn't with it. And while he's over, we got into some type of disagreement about something. I was making a sandwich or something, and I remember there being mayonnaise on the table, and he like threw the mayonnaise at me, and it like hit the wall and like just plopped all over the place. Mayonnaise went flying everywhere. Like, this is the shit I'm talking about. What kind of lunatic is this that you got around your kids? And then when he did that, I think I grabbed like a padlock that we had that we used to lock the door with from the inside, and I went like running at him. I was gonna like throw it at him or something, and I think my mom got in between us because I think she knew like if she does anything, he's going to end up. I don't remember if he actually left or if he and my mother went downstairs into the basement of the store, which is like the storage area, but my mom actually had her room set up down there. My sister and I were laying in bed, which was just a bunch of pile of blankets on the floor. We didn't even have like beds. I remember laying there like crying with my sister, and we were both laying like looking up at the ceiling, and I told her, you know, we're gonna have to murder him, right? She was just laying there like, I don't even know if she thought I was being serious, but I was dead ass. I was like, there's no way out of this. Like, every time we try to get away from him, she keeps letting him come back around, and she's too weak. We can't live like this. This is not right. This isn't normal. And who can wait until we're legally old enough to go off on our own? Like, we're 13 maybe at this point, 12, 13 maybe. Yeah, so I'm saying to my sister, we have to kill him. So you're gonna have to just play dumb, or I'll say that it was self-defense and it was only me and you didn't have anything to do with it. You didn't even know about it. Have to figure out how to make it the least detectable or the most believable as self-defense. I said, we have to kill our mom too. And she was like, why? And I was like, because she's weak. If we don't, she's going to tell on us. She's going to run her mouth. She's going to make us the number one suspects because she's not going to believe that he just conveniently dropped dead. We have to do it in order for us to survive. It's us or them. It's us or them. That's just what it is. She's too brainwashed and he's too evil, and we cannot live as sex slaves. We cannot do that. And I was so serious. I really would have murdered him and then murdered my mother and tried to figure out a way to get away with it and hope that my age was going to protect me to some degree, because I didn't know. How can we even prove that this guy is sexually abusing us when there's not enough evidence to prove anything like that? There's no police record. There's no anything. There's no history to prove what I'm saying. Even now, if people are hearing this, it's like, oh, justice for Gypsy. Yeah, I feel the same way, but there's no evidence. Me saying this is really just hearsay. Any good lawyer could argue, we don't even know if these two ever met each other. There's no proof of any of that. I don't even have a picture of this guy. Yeah, that's a story I've only told few people. Don't even know if my sister remembers this happening. I will say, Deet, if you watch any of these videos and you hear me saying, oh, I don't know if she remembers, I don't know how it was for her, I welcome you to drop a comment clarifying any of this stuff from your perspective. Stuff you just want to add, like you just feel like, well, you should know this, it's part of the story. Drop it in the comments, because I really would like to know. I don't feel that we should be ever ashamed to talk about the stuff that he did to us, because we were the victims. We didn't do anything to bring that on us. Subscribe if you want to. If you don't, then just figure out some way to remember this page so you can come back and check out our future uploads. And if you guys have any questions or requests, then drop that in the comments as well. And you can follow me on Instagram at Broken Dolly TV. Thanks for watching thus far, and I will talk to you guys in the next installment. And until then, I hope all of you guys have a wonderful day. Okay, au revoir. Fat people upstairs are so loud when they walk. OMGE. I hope they don't watch this. Like, are you talking about us? Sorry. I just called them the fat people upstairs, not because they're fat, but they are, but because they're kids. Like, they make so much freaking noise when they walk. They like stomp like sumo wrestlers. So that's how I imagine like all the kids are walking around in their house. So I just call them the fat people upstairs. But anyways, but it's not because they're fat. If they were skinny people, I would call them the fat people upstairs too. Anyway.
About no guns. When it got real, you was about to run like DMC. I'm in a hotel with